debate. World Press Freedom Day, it is appropriate that we should celebrate it, and it is appropriate because it's fundamental to our democracy. It's a basic right. We all know that knowledge is power, and equally its absence also endangers us. Press freedom allows us to expose totalitarianism, often in the face of danger, as other members have commented on. I myself was privileged to know James Pringle, who returned to my old constituency to vote in the Scottish referendum back in 2014, who regaled me with tales about first having served in the Dominican coup and then having been the first Western journalist into Cambodia under Pol Pot after the atrocities of the Khmer Rouge. I pay tribute to his courage. It is also vital for democracy. I remember reading Professor Henry Milner in his book Civic Literacy. That's a study about what motivates turnout in elections. And a critical factor isn't whether it's as easy to vote as being able to buy a tin of beans in a supermarket. What matters in particular is also the understanding, and a quality media is fundamental to that. If people don't understand the issues, then they will not participate and vote. It's a factor normally shown in this country why turnouts are higher in referenda, when there's a clearer understanding about what the issues are, rather than perhaps in wider elections where turnout can be significantly lower. There are obviously, as other members have correctly said, ongoing issues, whether in Saudi Arabia, whether in Belarus, whether indeed closer at home with Julian Assange. I sympathise and agree with the points made by others across the political divide that these people require to be protected.
I'm also concerned by the continued imprisonment and attempted extradition of Julian Assange. This case presents a very real danger to the freedom of the press. It extends the judicial reach of the US government, and it deploys the US Espionage Act against a journalist for the very first time. We must oppose really this attempt to criminalise journalism that involves reporting on classified information. If not, this could set a chilling precedent with grave implications for the functioning of our democracy. The US government must, I believe, drop this attempted prosecution. The British government must do all it can to halt a process from which there can be no satisfactory outcome for the freedom of the press. A free press is essential to our public life, but sadly, much of our press really isn't free.
So I'll very, very briefly just say this, that in our complacency, let's not forget brave people that have blown the whistle on the truth around the world. And I'm thinking here of Julian Assange for the work that he has done in exposing what has happened around the world in preparation for war and other things. In some countries around the world, he would be called a hero for being a whistleblower. Here, he's called something very, very different. We should think of what news values and values of the freedom of speech are actually all about.
And at home, the UK is ranked 33rd out of 180 countries in the World Press Federation Index. Our own record marred by restrictions on freedom of information, the detention of WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange, and active threats to the safety of journalists in Northern Ireland. These figures are shocking, and a concrete solution is needed to reverse this dangerous trend. So will the Minister take up calls from the IFJ and media representatives on every continent for the establishment of the UN Convention on the Safety and Protection of Journalists to ensure implementation of existing UN mechanisms, hold states accountable for their obligations, and the end of impunity